Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's Journey Within. My name is Rachael Alexander. If you're joining me live, feel free to let me know in the chat. I'm trying to find where the chat is. Can't seem to find whatever. It's interesting. I don't see what I do with my chat. Okay. Let me check and make sure that I'm live. If you can hear me, feel free to say hi in the chat. Why can't I see the chat here? Alright. Let me see something real quick. Sorry, having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm trying to see why I'm not able to see my chat in here. What did I just do?
When it was the right time.
Okay, let me see. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I'm live. It's working. Just making sure. Okay, so welcome. I guess I'm just gonna do the chat from my phone. For some reason, it's not pulling up on my computer. I pressed something. I messed up something. I don't know what I did, but I'll figure it out later. Don't want to waste any more time. Welcome. Hello. Mosaic Souls. Hello, Mosaic Souls. My name is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual life, wellness, and business coach. And I'm super excited to have you guys here with me live today, all about the journey within, as I'm dedicating this November to the journey within as we begin and continue to embark and embrace our true selves and explore and discover more topics all about that. Yesterday I covered 10 reasons why it's super important to really start to self-reflect and build a daily self-reflection practice in your life, a spirituality practice, whatever that is. And today I wanted to give some actual tips or ways that I personally do self-reflection on a day-to-day basis. I don't do all of these 7 things, but I do a combination of the 7 things, one or more of the 7 things every day. And I want to say that in general, it definitely has led to more peace of mind, a sense of resilience, stability, sense of joy on a day-to-day basis that I can't really explain outside of just living life. And I feel that when you start incorporating these practices into your own daily life, you'll start to recognize and experience more joy on a day-to-day basis. So if you're joining me in the chat, feel free to say hi. I will be opening the floor after I go through this topic at the end for my sort of free live laser coaching sessions. If you have any questions in regards to this topic or in regards to something that you're traversing in your own life that you might want assistance in, feel free to pop those in the chat and I will answer it at the end of the information that I'm going to disseminate. I'm super excited about today because in general I've just been really in tune with my divine team and I had the most exquisite message from them, and it's very much so in alignment with what I'm going to be sharing today. So let's talk about the 7 ways in which you can reflect, right? To build a self-reflection process. One of the first things that I did even when I started when I was like a little girl was building a journaling practice. I don't journal as much anymore now. I've kind of transcended that a lot. A lot of times I'm recording in my phone, so I guess you can call that a form of journaling. I'm always recording things in my phone, like divine insights or, you know, ideas and stuff like that. So I'm kind of, I guess, audio recording my journals, if you want to call it. But when I was really young, I started journaling practice. I was always journaling, and journaling, there's so many different ways you can journal. Whether it's your sort of like morning pages where you're just sort of spewing out all the ideas and just getting out your things onto paper and just kind of, you know, going through that emotional regulation that we kind of talked about yesterday, where you're processing emotions, processing thoughts, patterns, and behaviors, and then you can do sort of goal setting or planning or, you know, writing down your desires or, you know, drawing out your desires. There's so many different ways to journal. But journaling is definitely one of the ways that I self-reflect on a day-to-day basis. If I'm not writing down, which I don't do as much anymore, most of the time I'm either talking into my phone or recording ideas or insights and stuff like that. So journaling is a really awesome way to start a self-reflection process, because it's a way for where you can start to see back, mirror back to you your own state of your inner world, right? A lot of times we're not even aware of what we're thinking. We're not even aware of our daily habits or our daily patterns. We're not even aware of what we're feeling or what we want to process or what we need to work through. And a lot of times when you take the time to journal, you create a spaciousness and an openness within yourself to allow that to happen, you know, and allow that sort of self-reflection, looking at yourself in the mirror more often than not, right? So that's the first way that I started self-reflecting and sort of this sort of spiritual practice for myself. The second way that I encourage you practice, if it resonates, as I always say, flow if it feels good, let go if it doesn't. Utilize whatever tool you desire to tap back into your true self. There's so many different ways, but I'm just going to be sharing with you the top 7 that I do and or recommend that works for me. The second way is sitting in silence and feeling emotions, thoughts, and feelings. So I do this probably the most. This is probably what I do a lot of, is a lot of times I'll just wake up like in the morning or whenever I wake up, oftentimes afternoon, whatever, and I have a silence moment where I'm just sitting in silence, no phone, no electronics is around me. Or if I do have my phone, I have it ready for any divine insights or thoughts or patterns, or my journal ready. But just sitting in silence. And sometimes, you know, dense emotions might arise. You know, things that I need to process might arise. Things that I'm, you know, sort of self-checking in, right? Sort of being my own therapist in a sense, where I'm, how are you feeling today? I don't necessarily say that all the time, but I'm just sort of, that's kind of what is unconsciously going on when I sit in silence. I'm being in this present moment, and I'm sort of scanning my body for any emotions or thoughts that are going on. If nothing is arising, maybe I'm in a higher state of being, a higher state of frequency. So there's sort of like the vibrational spectrum, the vibrational scale. So if you think of joy, peace, love at the top, and then sort of despair and, you know, guilt and shame at the bottom, I'm sort of checking to see where I'm at on this vibrational scale when I'm sitting in silence and stillness, and I'm processing and thinking and going through my emotions. So that's probably the number one way that I utilize to self-reflect, is I'm sort of scanning my body, scanning my emotions, scanning my mind. How am I feeling in this moment? How, you know, where am I on the vibrational scale? And usually if I'm in like you know, let's say that 5 is the middle, 10 is the highest, like love, peace, and joy, and then 1 is like deep, dark despair, shame, and guilt. I'm scanning to see, like, if I'm in a 5, in the 5-6 area, I'm like, okay, what do I need? Not necessarily that I need to move out of that moment, because sometimes you are where you are and you need to process certain things, but I'm usually utilizing that as a way to sort of move myself up back to the state of peace, joy, and love. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of scanning my body and processing whatever emotions and thoughts or feelings that are coming up. If I had a challenging situation with a loved one, if, you know, a challenge has arisen and I'm My mind is grappling with trying to figure out how to fix it. A lot of times that's usually what the mind does. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just let the mind do its thing, and then I kind of tune in, and I'll talk more about the other things that I do. But just sitting in silence and stillness and giving myself enough space to feel my thoughts, feel my feelings, feel my emotions, and just be with myself, be in myself, be in my own energy, and to feel what's going on within me. That's sort of the second way that I self-reflect. The third way is meditation. Well, I was going to say nature, but the third way is meditation. So meditation, sitting in silence is a form of meditation. But excuse me, I'm a little stuffy. But when I meditate, what I'm doing is I'm clearing my mind. So it's a little bit different from feeling my thoughts and feelings and emotions. What I do when I meditate is, personally, now that I felt my thoughts and emotions and feelings, what I'm doing when I'm meditating is I'm clearing my mind. I'm giving myself enough spaciousness, and I'm moving into a space of sort of clearing the air, clearing the sort of muck that I might find within my own mind. Hold on. Give me a second. Got my heater on. I think it's making me stuffy. Okay. It's a little hot in here. So that's what I'm doing when I'm meditating. When I'm meditating, so basically I'm clearing my mind, and what I'm doing when I'm clearing my mind is sort of I'm moving into a spaciousness of who am I truly, right? I'm tapping into the truth of who I am, right? So a lot of times, and this is one of the things that I was doing earlier today, is I will sort of just clear my mind and allow sort of like my higher self tuning in to my divine guidance, my divine spirit fam, my spirit guides and internal voice. And I sort of tune out the sort of the rat race of the monkey mind, and I tune that down. I turn that dial down, and then I turn the dial of my inner being, of my higher self up. And I just start tuning in and just listening to any guidance or insights. And sometimes it's just be here, be now, feel the power of your own inner being, feel the power of, the energy that's coursing through your veins. And I become radically present. So that's what I do when I'm meditating. It's slightly different from sitting in stillness and feeling my emotions and thoughts and feelings. I'm more so turning down the dial of my monkey mind and turning up the dial of my inner voice, my inner spirit, my inner being. And that just takes a cultivation of learning to not necessarily ignore the mind, but if you've never meditated before and you've never sort of been able to be the witness of your thoughts, if you've ever tried that where you can just allow thoughts to arise and not identify with them, then you'll start to recognize there's a little bit of a spaciousness between you and the thought, right? And so that's sort of like the beginning of it. And once you start to develop that awareness, like, oh, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not this sort of repetitive loop of whatever is going on in my head, you can start moving into this inner knowing of, okay, so if I'm not my thoughts, then who am I? And then so that sort of led to this whole rabbit hole of tuning into my higher self, my divine team, and listening to that inner guidance, right? So that's the third way that I self-reflect, is just starting to meditate, turning down the dial of my monkey mind and tuning into the power of my inner being, the power of my inner guru, if you want to call it that. The fourth way that I do is go out in nature. I tend not to do this as much in the cold, when it starts getting cold, because I really like the heat. So a lot of times, but when it's like summertime, springtime, fall time, a lot of times I'll go out in nature and I'll just spend hours in nature and just kind of walking around and just being present, and just increasing my presence power, right? Increasing my state of awareness. When I'm out in nature, I'm looking at, the grass, trees, the sky, sort of like a walking meditation, or I might find a bench nearby and just kind of look and just be in stillness and be in this sort of energy of just my own energy, and connecting that energy with the mother nature, Gaia, and tuning into that energy and tapping into sort of this peaceful majesty that's that nature embodies and reflects back to us. And sometimes I get insights, watching nature, watching animals, and getting insights from different things and just being present in nature. So that's the fourth way that I connect with myself and with my higher self and stuff like that. So self-reflecting is nature. It's super powerful. One of my favorite ways to connect is just being out in nature and just enjoying the beauty of this earth that we are inhabiting, right? That was the fourth way. So the fifth way is self-coaching. Okay. So one of the ways that I do is self-coaching, and a lot of times my divine team, what I call my divine team, if you're new to this channel, I call my spirit guides, my divine team, my spiritual posse, or my spirit fam. A lot of times I call them my spirit fam. But what I'll do is I'll go through, like, if I've gone through the process of sitting in silence, feeling my thoughts and emotions, and I want to work through something is stumping me, like something is bothering me. Why am I having this challenge? Why is this arising? Right? One of those kind of emotions or situations. I'll self-coach myself. Like, what do I want? Ask myself questions like, what do I want? Why do I want it? What will having it do for me? Right? Who do I need to become energetically in order to align with this desire? Right? So those are the 4 questions that I sort of ask myself when I'm self-coaching. A lot of times my divine team will give me other things when I'm working through something, like, how would it feel to be in this energy? Like, who are you really? So like, different questions that I ask myself to get back in touch with the truth of who I am when I'm grappling with something, or something isn't making sense, or I'm experiencing a challenging situation. I will self-coach myself a lot of times. So that's another way that I self-reflect. And then the 6th way that I self-reflect is I use tarot or oracle cards. So I'm not super like into a lot of different things. Like, I'm not like, I have friends who are like into everything, like crystals, and they got the incense and the da-da-da-da. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I dabble with that and play with it, but I'm very much so aware that the power that I desire and to tap into is within me. But sometimes I like utilizing things. I don't have any of my tarot cards around me, but like, I'll use a tarot deck or I'll use an oracle deck that I resonate with, and I'll pull a card for today. Or if I have a question that my monkey mind is like grappling with, I'll pull a card in regards to that situation to gain more insight on what I can and should, there are no shoulds, but like, what is more in alignment with what I want to do, what action steps. So sometimes I will utilize tarot or oracle cards for more insights on maybe like my daily journey, like when I feel like there be times when I don't pull a card at all for like weeks or months on end, and then other times I'm like, I wonder what my card is for today, and it feels like this playful thing, of deep insight that I get to discover more about myself. So it really just kind of depends on what energy I'm in, or if I have a question about a situation or a person who's arisen in my life or something like that, I'll pull a tarot card like, I wonder what this means, or what insights should I gain or grok from the situation. I'll pull a card for more insights. Self-reflecting on like, okay, what does this mean? What do I want to make this mean, right? Because I'm fully aware that I'm giving the situation meaning, right? So I'll utilize those tools, the tarot cards and oracle cards that resonate with me, to self-reflect and gain more insight into my daily journey. And then the 7th and final way that I self-reflect on a day-to-day basis is just tuning into my spirit guides, right? Tuning into my divine team and having a Q&A session. I just had that earlier today, actually. And because I channel, we all have this ability to tune into our divine teams, our spirit guides, whatever word resonates with you, God, infinite intelligence, because that's what we are all a part of. We're all spiritual beings having this human experience. So when you start tapping more into that, you start recognizing that this is who we truly are, and so we're never not connected. Actually, that was actually a piece of my message today was, remember, you're never not connected. Sometimes you might tune into us more, heightened, but other times you don't, but we're never not connected. So I just tune in and ask questions about life events, life situations, challenging events, and I receive guidance. I receive intuitive guidance I receive sort of self-coaching. Sometimes my divine team will give me answers or insights, and it's usually very deep and potent and helps me to transcend and move into a new phase of life, a new phase of evolution, something that I didn't even expect to happen. It just sort of naturally evolves. And we're always manifesting, so it helps me to manifest more of my desires by tuning into my higher self and to my divine team, my spirit guides, my spirit fam, and getting insights, about whatever life event is occurring. So those are really the top 7 ways that I self-reflect. I'll do a recap. And feel free to pop any questions that you might have in the chat if you do have any questions, for those of you who are live with me. But the first way is journaling. I definitely encourage you to journal if it resonates, you can physically write down your journal. Sometimes I used to have this practice, probably like 2 years ago, where I would sit down every morning and I would say, sort of tune into my higher self and my divine team and say, what is your message for me today? And I would just sort of write down what they would say, or I would record in my phone, my personal message for today. It was sort of the same idea of, pulling a daily oracle card or whatever, but like usually the messages that I would receive for the day would be like so much more potent. But so journaling on a day-to-day basis, that's one practice that I am, number 1. Number 2 is sitting in silence and feeling my emotions, tuning into my thoughts and feeling any sensations or feelings in my body. A lot of times I'll use, energy healing, I guess. Sometimes if a thought or emotion is stuck in my body, I'll move that energy and utilize that as well with this step number 2, or not step, but way number 2. Third is meditation. So meditation is a little bit different from sitting in silence. What I'm doing when I'm meditating is, instead of just sitting in silence, I'm sort of tuning down my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and I'm tuning in to my higher self, tuning into inner guidance, tuning into stillness, tuning into the infinite being that I am, versus just being caught up in the monkey mind of my human experience. And then 4th way is nature. I love going out in nature. 5th way is self-coaching. Did an explanation on that. 6th way is tarot or oracle cards. And then the 7th way is spirit guides, having a Q&A session with my own spirit guides and my own divine team. So those are the 7 ways that I personally self-reflect on a day-to-day basis. I don't do every one of them every single day, as I shared before, but I do some combination of one or more every day. And it's just sort of become a habitual pattern within myself that I'm always tuned in to myself, tuned into how I'm going. And that's sort of what cultivating this practice within myself has created, is this sort of sense of peace, this peace beyond all understanding. And it allows me to like traverse life with greater ease and greater comfort. And even when challenging stuff happens or crap happens, I can kind of go through life, and it allows me to communicate better with others, like all the things that I shared in yesterday's live. So definitely go back and check like all those benefits that I talked about. It allows me to tap in and do those things in my own life, have better communication, be more in tune with my own heart's true desires, do more what I love every single day. Those things are like sort of the benefits of doing daily self-reflection. It allows me to like experience life a lot more easier and a lot more fun and free and without drama and pain and all the stuff that we as humans have a tendency to create when we're not tapped into who we truly are. So those are the 7 ways that I encourage you to, flow with what feels good and not let go of what doesn't. Whatever resonates with you, whatever feels like it, you want to try out, definitely try, one of these if it resonates. Tune in. There's definitely way more than what I shared. Like I said, there's so many different spiritual tools and placebos in our realm. So, if there's something else that resonates more with you, I know I have a friend who used to do burning, where they would write down their desires and then like burn it. And, there's so many different ways, literally so many different rituals, but those are, I'm very simple. I'm like the queen of simplicity, as an old friend used to call me. Like, you're like the queen of simplicity, aren't you, Rachel? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I like, keep it simple. Keep it simple, Sally. So, since there are no questions in the chat, I'm a tune off, and tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow I will be back with another topic. Haven't figured out what that is. I'm just sort of letting the topics land in my consciousness on what I want to share in regards to, living more spiritually awakened and having and traversing, moving into that journey within yourself and embracing your true self so that you can really create the divine life that you and your heart and your soul desires for you to experience. So, as I always say, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being. Your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience while on this planet. And if you are interested in diving more into self-confidence, self-worth, and stuff like that, I'll put a link in the description box below of my masterclass, Confidence Masterclass, so you can check that out. And remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive, what you expect is what you'll get, and however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.